Good afternoon. I'd like to call the meeting of the Oklahoma City Water Utilities Trust to order. First order of business is to approve the minutes of the February 13, 2018 meeting, and I would recognize a motion to that effect.
Move approval.
It's been moved and seconded. We'll vote. Approved. We have the consent docket. Would recognize a motion to approve the consent docket subject to individual consideration.
Move the consent docket subject to individual consideration.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Are there any items for individual consideration?
If someone could, as far as item 3E, could I get an explanation on the status of that project, when it began, where it's at, which is the downtown equestrian park work?
Dennis Clowers might be the best person to give us an update on that. Dennis Equestrian Clowers.
I often wondered what my middle name was. Thank you for clarifying that. This is are you familiar with, well, let me just explain the project, then you'll be familiar with it if you're not. There's a group of interested citizens wanting to put in an equestrian facility on the south side of the river between Agnew and Penn.
And I always knew about that, but I thought there were funding issues and it was going to be a project in the future, but apparently we're starting on it now.
We're starting some city work to facilitate that group being able to raise some money on their own to build some improvements down there. But it's some work that Mr. Browning, Mr. Couch, and I talked about to put in some water and sewer work to serve that area to kind of kickstart.
There's going to be probably a myriad of funds involved in it. Yes.
Right.
We're looking at, the River Trust is looking at the Community Foundation putting in some money. We may do some force account work down there, get the water utilities in there, and then we'll probably look at some private funds.
I was just encouraged that we were starting in some form or fashion. Thank you.
Very good. Is there any other comments, questions? Seeing none, we'll vote. Approved. Next item of business is the concurrence docket.
Move approval subject to individual consideration.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any comments on individual consideration requests? Seeing none, we'll vote. Approved. Next item is emergency construction contracts by resolution, and there's 4 affirmative votes required for approval. I would recognize a motion to that effect.
Move approval.
Any questions, comments?
I was just asking earlier how this occurred. I mean,
the prospect of recovery.
and the prospect of recovering funds for somebody's negligence, I guess.
We are in process of discussing with the contractor the recovery of the funds. We met the contractor on site before they started working. They knew where our infrastructure was. They did not hand dig pursuant to the law to find it, and they broke it. They were drilling up for a pole, to set a pole, and they drilled through it.
It looked like several people informed them of the location from what I read in the materials.
We met them on site.
Okay, thank you.
We will vote on this item. Approved. Next, we have an items for individual consideration, and we're being suggested to enter into executive session to discuss Jackson et al. Versus the Oklahoma Water Resources Board. Need a motion to
Move approval.
to move into the executive session. Is there a second? Moved and seconded. We'll vote. Approved. We'll go into any items from trustees.
Just a quick question, Mr. General Manager, because of the recent rains, how has that changed the status of our reservoirs?
Thanks for asking, Mr. Couch. Most of them are more full than they were. McGee Creek is actually overfull by about 6 feet. Atoka has come up several feet to about 2 feet down. Draper's about 4. The others are nearly full. Half are 1.5 foot down, the rest of them are right at the top.
Very good.
Any other questions from the trustees? Next, we have general manager's reports.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The monthly pro forma water sales are about what we expected. The expenses are a little lower than normal. We saved a little money on power. Wastewater, we're about where we expected on revenue and expenses for the year, for the fiscal year to date. Second item, we have a presentation on our safety performance for the past year. Pretty impressive. Jesse Hilly will be presenting that in just a moment.
Thank you, Chairman and trustees. We track the number of our total claims and OSHA reportables according to the OSHA protocol. Up there on the chart, you can see that our performance since 2003 to 2017, we've had a huge decline, even though our number of employees have increased over the years, and also the work has increased as we've added new infrastructure and customers have been added. We've also reduced our direct cost of injuries, even though the medical costs have increased over the years. To give you an idea, difference between 2007 and 2017 is about $1 million in direct medical costs. And this is our utilities injury incident rate. We take the total hours worked and with how many total injuries we have to give us an actual rate. And in 2007 we were at 20, but before 2007 we had a lot of safety initiatives that started to bring that rate down. Some of those things that we did was we added safety personnel in 2001. The safety personnel developed a safety manual. Our workers started wearing personal protective equipment. And we developed an actual formal safety program and also developed a safety training plan to meet compliance with PIOSH regulations. Moving into 2008, 2009, we intensified procedural training. We updated our emergency response plan for the department. And we also updated our risk management plans for the highly hazardous chemicals at the water treatment plants, chlorine and ammonia. We got in compliance with EPA. We also ramped up our crane and hoist inspections at various facilities in our department. We also looked at fall hazards, our water towers, how our employees access those structures safely to perform maintenance. Also, lockout tagout software. That's something that's really helped our water treatment plants to safely work on their equipment and perform maintenance. And to 2016, 2017, you can see a sharp decline. A lot of that was an employee engagement. Our director goes out, every Friday and spends a lot of time with our division heads and our employees looking at the facilities. We also did town hall style meetings last year and gave employees an opportunity to ask questions and also to give them direction of where we're headed in the next year. I think that really helped our decline in injuries. Also, our incident injury learning process. We engaged with a consultant 2 years ago to help us write an investigation process, which is more of a team process rather than just one supervisor performing investigations. So getting that employee engagement after those incidents occur has really helped managers find better solutions to our events. Also, we did a lot of facility OSHA compliance audits last year, which kind of raised awareness with our workers and helped our supervisors rehearse for regulatory audits. And we surpassed our LFR goal, which was 8 by 2020. So we ended the year 2017 7.15. So moving forward, we're engaging with our consultant SCM in a Phase 2 project. We're going to focus on work process assessments, which our division heads have really identified our high injury rates, which is water main repair, sewer main repair. That's where we're having at least 2/3 of our injuries. So we're going to work with our consultant and get our boots on the ground and actually see the work and try to make improvements in those areas. Also, we're going to, as part of the assessment, leadership, performance, and support guides, that will be the tools that the supervisors use out in the field to assess their work sites, as we're doing in the first bullet. And lastly, we'll conduct a training program assessment of our skills training programs and our safety training. Any questions?
Any questions?
Pretty impressive progress.
Thank you. Thank you. A lot of great effort by managers, supervisors, and employees in our department. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
That's all you have? Okay. We will recess was the term I was looking for. We will recess to executive session. There's no citizens to be heard. I would recognize a motion to adjourn. So moved. Been moved to adjourn. Been moved and seconded. We'll vote. Adjourn.